Hi girls, so we are going to be looking at how to find the value of trig functions using a calculator. So this should be a pretty quick and easy lesson to follow along. Just make sure that you do have your calculator with you. I did put a quick note at the top to make sure that your graphing calculator is in degree mode. And if you're not sure how to check that or make sure that it is in degree mode, I put the steps here. So on your graphing calculator, you're going to press the mode key. And then when you press the mode key, you're going to see a whole list of different options that appear on the screen. And what you really need to do is just scroll down to the third line, and there are two words, radian and degree. And by default, most of your calculators are probably set in radians, so you need to make sure that you set it in degrees so that we can find the degrees of these angles. So all you're going to do is arrow over to the word degree and press enter and make sure that that stays highlighted. And then once you ensure that it's in degree mode, you can just hit second mode, which would quit out of that screen, and then you're ready to go. So we're going to walk through 3 examples. I did one example I'll do with you, and then you can pause the video and try the second example on your own and check your work. But like I said, this is going to be pretty easy because it's just a matter of typing things into your calculator. So when we want to find the value of a trig function, in the past, people had to consult tables and look up what each of these trig functions value were for a given angle. But now that we have calculators, we can use that and find the answer very quickly. So let's take a look at the first example. So we're asked to find the trig function to 4 significant digits, and then if we find that the problem is given in minutes, I put the hint up here that to remember that 1 minute is equal to 1 degree. So if I'm asked to find the cosine of 32.5 degrees, you are literally going to press cosine button, which is right above the parenthesis key, and then type in 32.5 and enter. And when you press that, you should get an answer of 0.8434, and that's it. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and see if you can calculate B. And again, remember, use that hint that 60 minutes is equal to 1 degree. Okay, so we need to do a little conversion before we use our calculator to find the value of this sine 78 degrees 10 minutes. So what we need to do first is we need to figure out what degree 10 minutes is. So to do that, if you recall from previous lesson, I'm just going to rewrite sine of 78 here. So that's 78 degrees. And then we are going to add to that whatever degree value is for 10 minutes. So that's going to be 10 divided by 60 to get our degree. So when I divide 10 by 60, I get an answer of 0.16 repeating. So I am going to just rewrite this as the sine of 78.166, and I'm just going to round to the 7 here, just so that I have 4 digits after my decimal. All right, and then the last thing to do is to type sine 78.1667 and find that value. And that gives you an answer of 0.9787. And that's it. All right, let's take a look at our second example, and I put a little star here because this is really important to remember, that you can use the inverse, which is sine, and it looks like to the -1 power, but that just means the inverse of sine, the inverse of cosine, or the inverse of tangent, to find an acute angle when given one of its function values. So what that means is we are actually given the value, the trig value, but we need to find the angle. In the past, we were given the angle and we were finding this number, so we're just kind of doing the opposite. And we're going to do this to find it to the nearest tenth of a degree. So to find the angle theta, you are going to apply the inverse of sine to find that. So you can write this now as the angle theta is equal to the inverse of sine of 0.87. So again, you're just going to type this into your calculator. Now to access the inverse of sine, you're going to hit the yellow key or the second key and then hit the sine button. And you probably notice right above that button, you see that sine inverse. And then when you go ahead and type that into your calculator, you should get an answer of 60.5 degrees. And again, we're looking for an angle measurement, so that's why we're putting the degree sign. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and try part B on your own. Okay, so just like in the last example, we are going to try to find this angle measurement of theta. So theta is equal to the inverse of cosine, and then we're going to apply that number, that 0.833. And then again, you're going to hit your second button and the cosine button to get the inverse. And then when you calculate that, you should get an answer of theta is equal to, sorry, I'm doing this right now, 33.6 degrees. All right, and then finally, we are going to do the same thing, but if you notice that the directions are a little different because we are not going to round our answer to the nearest tenth this time, we're going to round it to the nearest minute. So it's just going to entail one more step. Okay, so I threw in one of our inverse or our reciprocal functions here, so the cotangent. So if you recall, cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So you can rewrite cotangent as tangent of theta is equal to the reciprocal of this number. So that would be 1 over 0.0782. And then just like the last example, so we need to use our inverse function of tangent to find that angle degree. So we're going to say theta is equal to the inverse of tangent times 1.00782. So when you plug that into your calculator, you get an answer of 85.5286. Now again, remember our directions say to the nearest minute. So we need to convert this decimal into a minute. So if you remember from our last lessons, I'm just going to take 85 and make that my degrees, and then I'm going to add this 0.5286 times 60 minutes to figure out how many minutes that would be. So that's 0.5286 times 60, and I'm going to round that to the nearest whole number. So I got theta should now be equal to 85 degrees and 32 minutes. All right, so go ahead and press pause and try B on your own and follow along. Okay, so then this one is in one of our 3 main trig functions, so we don't need to use any reciprocals. So we're just going to rewrite this now as theta is equal to the inverse of tangent times 1.2. So when I plug that into my calculator, again, I'm going to hit second tangent, and I'm going to get 50.1944. And then again, we need to convert this decimal degree into a minute. So again, that's going to be theta is equal to 50 degrees plus the decimal portion of our answer, 1944, times 60, And again, we're going to round that number that you get to the nearest whole number. So this gives us 50 degrees and 12 minutes. And that would be your final answer. All right, so you just have a few problems to work on out of your textbook. It should be on page 572. I think you're doing numbers 3 to 36, just the multiples of 3. And again, make sure that you use your calculator and make sure that it is in degree mode. Please make sure you pop in any of the Google Meets if you're having trouble with this or anything that we've done up to this point. All right, I'll talk to you girls soon. Bye.